The average student or researcher spends weeks or months just trying to land on a viable dissertation or thesis topic. But what if you could bridge the gap from a broad interest to a specific researchable question in just 5 minutes? The primary challenge in academic research isn't lack of information, it's the analysis paralysis caused by the sheer volume of existing literature. Today, we are using consensus AI to revolutionize the way you approach your thesis discovery process by searching through 200 million research papers simultaneously. Begin by navigating to the consensus website and creating a free account. While you can explore some features without signing up, logging in unlocks a more consistent experience and allows you to refine searches more effectively over time. Use an academic or professional email address if possible, as this helps position the tool clearly within a research workflow rather than as a general web search engine. Here, I am using my Google account. Once logged in, take a moment to familiarize with the interface. Consensus is designed specifically for evidence based academic search, meaning it prioritizes peer reviewed literature rather than opinion pieces or blog content. Unlike Google Scholar, the focus here is not on just retrieving papers, but on synthesizing what the research actually says in response to a question. Before typing anything into the search bar, shift your mindset slightly. Instead of thinking in terms of keywords, think in terms of research questions. Consensus works best when you enter clear, natural language queries, such as, does social media improve climate change awareness? Or what factors influence doctoral student burnout? This question driven approach aligns closely with how the research problems are framed and helps the tool return more meaningful summaries. At this stage, don't worry about being too precise or original. The goal is simply to get into the system quickly and establish a starting point for exploration. You refine, narrow, and sharpen your focus in later steps, but assessing consensus correctly sets the foundation for everything that follows. This AI-powered engine only searches through peer-reviewed literature and not the open web. So start by entering a broad question related to your field of interest. So instead of just keywords, you can use a full question like I will paste the question here. All right. And the question here says, do digital health interventions improve the management of alcohol abuse in European countries? So this, as you can see, is presented in the form of a question, which is still broad. Okay. Don't forget, you don't want to box yourself into a corner at this early stage. You want to input a broad question that you can now later narrow down on in later steps. So yeah, and it has given you some some other suggestions if they relate to what you are looking for. Otherwise, I will click on send. Consensus will pull the most relevant peer-reviewed evidence and provide a consensus meter. You can see on the left-hand side of the page. This consensus meter analyzes top research papers to tell you if the scientific community agrees, disagrees, or if the evidence is still possibly leaning one way. Ensure that you read carefully the summary of these top papers. If you can do that by scrolling down, so you can see that topic on overall effectiveness, comparison to face care, the types of digital tools and key features, and the implementation in European context as well as the conclusion. So you want to make sure that you read this brief summary. You want to look for conflicting results or areas marked as insufficient. So these contradictions that are mentioned or highlighted in the summary are gold mines for a dissertation topic because they represent unresolved debates in the literature. Also, at this stage, be aware that the goal is not to finalize the topic, okay, but to surface candidate directions that are grounded in existing research but they are yet open, open enough to support original contribution. That is, you want to make sure that you are not still narrowing down on a specific set of questions. So make brief notes on recurring gaps, tensions, or surprising findings. You will use this insight in the next step to refine and validate your topic ideas or research question ideas. Before you move on, also look at the left hand side of the right hand side of the page. On the right hand side of the page, you've got a list of the peer-reviewed articles that consensus method were drawn from. So you can see they have been listed in numbers, and you've got the title of the book or the title of the peer review journal. There is a key takeaway, like a very like a sentence summary, and it also tells you the year of publication, how much they've been cited, the number of citations, yeah, the name of the first author, as well as you've got links to accessing the document either as a PDF or as a website. And here you can see that it's got a long list. I think there should be about 20 here. So yes, you can see that is 20. All right, and you the opportunity to load even more results. But after identifying several promising themes or gaps from the summarized findings, it is time to narrow your focus strategically. This is where you filter for quality. So for a master's dissertation or PhD thesis, you need high level evidence. So I'm going to click on this filter icon, and you can see that I've got four different options to filter the sources that I've already got. I can source from, based on general settings, methodology, the field of study, or the countries the research, the sources will be based on. So reviews, this is where essentially where your thesis begins. This is where consensus becomes especially powerful. So instead of being overwhelmed by the hundreds of papers, you can use this filtering option to shape the literature into something manageable, relevant, and thesis appropriate. So I'm going to click on apply H filters. So at this stage, your aim is to move from a broad evaluative question to several focused researchable thesis directions. So, using consensus summaries and shortlisted papers, you now actively experiment with narrowing, reframing, and stress testing your ideas. So, first thing is you want to ask, multiple or follow-up questions. Um, you are going to be doing this by typing into the search bar. So I can ask something like this. Um, analyze the key themes Analyze the key themes across these studies and highlight the recurring variations, unsolved issues, and potentially unexplored context. So, a question like this is asking it to limit the limitations mentioned in these studies. Okay, by identifying what previous researchers couldn't solve, you find the exact niche for your thesis or for your dissertation, and this allows you to justify your research direction with empirical evidence from day one. I will press send. Realize that it has provided or broken down the sources or the findings based on key cross-cutting themes, and I've got five, or is it six? Yes, six key themes. It has also went ahead to provide about five recurring variations. Okay, it has provided five recurring variations. Also, it has provided another five unsolved issues on that particular research question. Another five sets of potentially unexplored or underexplored context. So this stage is extremely important because each of these offers a level of originality. After having done that, you want to move on to the next thing. This next stage or this next task revolves around you now drawing out a few set of most crucial topics around these points that has been raised in the previous task. So what I'm going to do is I will paste this here, and this command says using the themes, recurring variations, unresolved or unsolved issues, and underexplored context across the studies suggest four MSc viable topic directions that might match. I'm going to click on send and we'll see what we get. It has gone ahead to provide four MSc viable research directions. It has, provided a brief description of what the focus of the research of the topic might be. It has provided brief, also some information about the focus, what the focus of the research can be, as well as the rationale. And it has done that generally consistently for each and every of those four research topic direction, and each of these four are actually different. Okay, none of them are exactly the same, and they are definitely promising. So at this point, you're not choosing the best topic, you are mapping the landscape of plausible contributions. And the next, of course, what we want to do now is to now say convert. So we now want to say I will paste this prompt here. So this prompt says convert and refine this into two promising research questions that are unmistakably MSc level, support them with a summary signaling gaps in the literature, and clearly grounded in possible contributions to existing literature evidence. I am going to click on send, and then let's see what we get out of that. It has provided that, so that is the first research question. Okay, that's the topic, active ingredients in digital alcohol intervention. So it has provided research question. One, the rationale, the gap, and the MSc level contribution are clearly discussed, clearly identified. All right, and of course, it's pulling this argument and these sources also from the sources that it has cited. So you can always click and to double check. So this is the second question, which is a bit different from the first one. Again, it has provided rationale gap and MSc level contribution for this particular question. It has Once you've narrowed your ideas down to two or three promising research questions, the final step is to stress test each one against the existing literature. So this is where you move from interesting idea to a defensive research topic. So what you want to do is you want to click through to the original studies linked in consensus, and you are no longer skimming summaries. Okay, you are selectively engaging with the abstract, the introductions and discussion sections, and what you're answering are three critical questions. Number one, has this question already been answered convincingly? Number two, where do authors explicitly identify limitations of future research? Number three, is your proposed contribution realistic and proportionate? Capturing, of course, what the strongest existing evidence already shows, where gaps, inconsistencies, or understudied context remain, and how your proposed research question would extend, challenge, or refine current understanding. By the end of this step, you should be able to articulate your topic in one clear sentence, followed immediately, of course, by a justification grounded in evidence. For example, you should be able to say something like, by while existing studies suggest X, the literature lacks Y, particularly in Z context. If you can make that argument confidently using published research, your topic is no longer just an idea, it is a credible research question. In 10 minutes, you've moved from a vague idea to a data backed research question with a confirmed gap in the literature. If you want more AI workflows for academic research, hit subscribe and check the link in the description to try consensus for yourself.